You know, I've worked this farm my whole life. My father before me, and his father before him, they kept this land going, season after season. You don't think much about the routine when you're in it, day after day. It's comforting, in a way. The steady rhythm of chores, the smell of earth. That's all I ever wanted. Peace and quiet. But peace doesn't always stay put, does it? It started on a cool September night. The crickets were out, the wind was low, and everything was still like it should be. I'd finished my supper and settled into my chair by the window, looking out over the fields. The same fields I'd known since I was a boy. The rows of corn, the old barn standing like a sentinel. It was my world, my only world. Then, just as I was drifting off, I saw something, a flash of light, way off by the north field. At first, I thought maybe it was a car. Sometimes teenagers get it in their heads to joyride through the countryside, messing up the crops, but this wasn't the usual dim headlights or the roar of an engine. This was different, bright, but unnatural, like it came from the sky itself. That I grabbed my shotgun, same one my father passed down to me, and stepped outside. My boots crunched over the gravel, and that light, it just hung there, hovering. Quiet, too. No hum of machinery, no sound of anything, really. Just silence, thick as molasses. "Hey!" I shouted. No answer. Not even a movement. That I wasn't having it. This is my land, and nobody messes with it. I started marching toward the light, heart thudding in my chest, though I couldn't tell if it was anger or something else. A feeling I couldn't name, like something was watching me. As I got closer, that light seemed to shift, almost like it was alive. It wasn't shining like a beam. It was more like the air itself was glowing. I tried to squint, but it was hard to tell where the source was. I thought about calling for help, but that thought left my head as quick as it came. This was my land. No one else's business. When I hit the edge of the cornfield, I felt it. This strange pressure, like something pushing against me. Not hard, but present, like the air had thickened. Still I pressed on, shotgun cocked and ready. But that light, it didn't move away. No, it stayed there, waiting, almost as if it was inviting me closer. And I kept walking, the stalks of corn brushing against me, the world narrowing to just me and that light. Then, just as I got within maybe 20 feet of it, the light blinked, like an eye opening wide, looking right at me. My breath caught in my throat, and I stumbled back, raising the gun. I don't know why, but I fired. The blast echoed through the fields, loud enough to startle the crows from the trees. But the light didn't flicker, didn't move. It just absorbed the shot. No sound, no sparks, nothing. And then it spoke. Not in words, no. Not the way you and I talk. It was more like a feeling, pressing into my skull. Like it was inside me, pulling at my thoughts, my memories, my fears. I could feel it rummaging through my mind, like it was sifting through everything I'd ever done, every mistake, every dark thought I'd buried over the years. I dropped the gun. I couldn't hold on to it any more. My arms felt like lead, my legs stuck in place. And then the light dimmed, flickering out, leaving me standing there in the dark. The crickets had gone silent. The wind had died down. The whole world felt empty. But the worst part? The worst part was what came next. I thought I'd driven it away. Thought it was over. But when I turned back to the house, something was wrong. I can't explain it. The porch light was on, casting the usual yellow glow, but the shadows, they were all wrong. They stretched too far, bending at angles that shouldn't exist. The barn, it looked further away than it should have, like the land had stretched out behind me, and when I stepped inside, everything was just a little off. The clock on the wall ticked too slow. The floorboards creaked, even though I wasn't moving. It felt like I'd stepped into someone else's house, but I could still see my father's old rocking chair, still smell my mother's biscuits from years ago. But it wasn't mine anymore. I tried to sleep that night, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw that light, just out of reach, like it was waiting for me to let my guard down. The next morning, the fields didn't look the same. They were twisted. The rows didn't line up like they used to. The sky, it looked darker somehow, like the sun couldn't quite reach us here. But I kept working. What else could I do? The crops needed tending. The animals needed feeding. You can't just stop because something feels wrong. The days stretched into weeks, and each night I saw that light hovering just beyond the fields. It never came close again, but I knew it was there, watching. And every night the shadows inside the house crept a little further, a little closer. It's been months now, and I haven't seen another soul. Not even the mailman comes around anymore. I tried the phone once, but all I got was static, like the line had been cut. I don't even bother with it now. I just keep working, pretending like everything's the same, but I know it's not. I know that light changed something, something deep down. The land isn't right. The air isn't right. And I keep hearing my father's voice, late at night, telling me to let it go, to leave the farm. But I can't. This is all I've ever known. The thing is, though, I don't know if it'll let me leave. The light's still out there, and every night it's just a little closer.